What is the most upsetting thing someone has ever said to you that sticks with you to this day? I was laughing out aloud at some crappy banter between friends when I was in middle school, and one of them suddenly said to me, "Don't laugh, your teeth are ugly." I struggled with even smiling with my mouth open right through college because of that one chat comment. People are thoughtlessly unkind. What you gonna do? Every time my mother was angry at me I would hear, "Why didn't you die instead of your sister?" My sister died when I was 11. I heard this all of the way up to 15-16. I'm sorry your mom said that to you. There's no excuse for that. A former best friend called me after we had a huge blowout fight and told me that she wished my disease would eat me alive. I have an autoimmune disease that was killing my kidneys and I was losing the battle. She made the call while I was on my way to bury my father. I'm so sorry. That is just so messed up. I hope you are okay. My personal favorite is my co-worker saying he had a bad dream because he dreamed he was me. Frick that guy. Yeah, frick that guy. It was in school and I was about 11 or so. The cool boys played run away from the girls in the breaks. While I always wanted to also be hunted by these pre-pubertarian girls, I was never chosen hunt-worthy. Well, someday I ran around for whatever reason and happened to cross path with one of the cooler boys getting hunted. He looked me in the eyes and said, "You know, they don't want to hunt you, right?" I just said something like, "I'm not playing with you right now," and slowed down, sat on a bench and waited for the break to end. It still hurts me when I think back to that. I went shopping with someone a few years ago, and I have a nerve condition that is incurable, so my legs are weak and I can't walk very well. People stare a lot, and that someone said to me, "Can you at least try and walk properly?" It's embarrassing. Oh, excuse my self-absorption. I was having so much fun hobbling around slowly, getting gawked at by strangers. I never thought about how this might affect you. Now that you mention it, sure, of course I will skip being disabled when I am around you. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr intimacy issues, but all I wanna do is love and show affection to someone who wants it. Have an internet hug. My mom cheated on my dad with one of her students. I was around 12 at the time. I stole my mom's phone and started texting that student, basically saying to leave our family alone. They texted back and threatened me, saying they'll be with their friends and wait for me after school and they'll beat me up. Showed it my mom. She laughed it off and said I had it coming cause I used her phone without permission. Almost 2 decades later, I sometimes still dream about it. I always wake up scared and feeling so betrayed. Then quickly turns to anger how I'm still not over that. Hey pal, it honestly sounds like your mom is a piece of crap all around. I'm sorry that happened to you. My mother was a clean freak. I got injured and used a wheelchair for years. Could walk with a cane but the chair was easier. She hated the wheelchair on her living room carpet. She'd always tell me to keep the chair off the living room carpet. Well, sadly she got ovarian cancer. Her health declined to the point of us setting up a hospital bed in the living room as she neared the end. Us 4 kids and other family members at her side as she slipped in and out of consciousness. I wheeled up to her bed knowing she would pass at any moment. She looked at me and swear to God, her very last words to me was, "Get that dang chair out of here." Have to admit, we all had to laugh. It was sad funny. I used to be super skinny in high school, not malnourished or anything, but just an ectomorph. Some kid out of nowhere tells my girlfriend in front of me, "Hey Jenny, I know little kids that weigh more than your man." For no good reason either. My girl defended me immediately, but it always stuck with me, even 20 years later and I've filled out and everything. Never forgot it. Frick you, Travis. Should had flawed Travis. You know everyone just pretends to like you, right? Not friend. I was about 13 years old at the time, so yikes. This was said to me the day my young teen world started to crumble. My friends, a group that I had spent most of my childhood years with, kicked me out of the group and I found myself all alone. Over 10 years later I still have trouble realizing when people actually like me or enjoy my presence. Most of the time I assume they're just being nice. Had mother say, "I'm not proud of you," and "I don't think you'll ever leave home." Can't wait to bust the middle finger as I do. I'll stop at nothing to leave. Oh yes, do that and have a successful life. My mum says the same, just that she doesn't think I'll finish school with good grades and get my A level at all. I plan on doing just that. My 11th grade English teacher told the entire class that I read trash and dirt because I was reading a book she didn't like. I'm in my mid-40s now, and I still hate that teacher. How absolutely pathetic does your life have to be to compare the reading tastes of an academic English professional to that of a 17-year-old child? When my brother died, my mom got me from my friend's house. When we got home, she had told me he had died. Worst night and school year of my life. When my brother died, I'll never forget being on the phone and my mom sobbing, "He's gone, worst day of my life. It's something you never get over. Sorry for your loss, stranger." When my mum died, my dad was not supportive of me and my two sisters, too wrapped up in his own grief and the bottle. We confronted him, and his exact words were, "Well girls, at the end of the day she was only your mother. She was my wife." I never forgave him for that, even when he passed away himself. I'm sorry, but what kind of logic is this? You can literally have multiple wives but only one mother. I worked as a VJ at a local restaurant part-time for a while. Sort of play dance videos for the early crowd. It was fun, but dumb and practically no management of any sort. Eventually I decided to move on. When I went to quit, surprisingly the main manager wanted to sit down with me. He very solemnly asked me if I was gay. I was startled, but out already, so I said yes. He said, "Yeah, that's what I figured. In my experience you people tend to be unreliable and flaky, so I'm not surprised you're quitting." I was so shocked, I didn't say anything back at the time. But frick that guy. On a more serious note, I'm sorry you had to go through that. It's honestly so crappy when people attribute negative traits to someone just because they dislike how you feel, your beliefs. You always do everything wrong and never do anything right. My mother. I think about that every time my mental illness acts up. I mess up in any way. Thanks, Mom. It was what he didn't say. I finally had the guts to tell him I love him. I had been wanting to for a while before he left for deployment. He didn't say it back and left. No answer is still an answer, I guess. Sorry that had to happen to you. Kid in my class kept asking me why my teeth look awful when I laugh and why I also lean back while doing so. Still cover my mouth and stay stiff as a soldier when I laugh. It was 2 years ago. My granny told me I'm weak and have mental problems because my mom raised me. Her son didn't bother sticking around to be part of my life. I was going through a depression and having anxiety attacks at the time she said that. I finally learned that I needed to cut toxic people out of my life, regardless if they were family or not. Everyone should decide for themselves who their family is. DNA shouldn't be a factor. For me, it's recently. At work I had some concerns about staff. I tried to talk to the manager and she ignored my concerns and said I am mentally ill and slower and should go see a doctor. My concerns meant nothing apparently. I've been told awful stuff, but I'm not sure it just hit a chord. It's made me second guess everything I've ever done. I'm looking for new work, but it's hard. Like I'm beyond insulted. I've had friends commit suicide and have mental illness. I couldn't be more offended. This is an aesthetic one, but an ex-boyfriend told me I have a hairy upper lip and to this day I am paranoid about my facial hair to a ridiculous degree. Oh man, I hope I am not your ex. I said that to my ex-GF while in line at a water park with a bunch of our friends within earshot. I honestly sucked so much in high school I have no idea what was wrong with me. If it helps at all, I look back at that as one of the cringiest moments in my life, so the memory haunts me too. I was going through a tough time with depression and it was the 2-year anniversary of finding my grandma dead in her home, and I wanted to be upfront with my girlfriend about my mental health issues going on. I told her if I started acting distant and anxious or get angry, I'm sorry and it's because I've got these issues going on. I'm going to do my best, but I want you to know about this just in case it comes up. I was having problems in my career also and was considering a new job. A few days later I got very anxious and started worrying that my life was going to spiral out of control and I would never succeed in life, and just generally anxious and depressed thoughts. And my girlfriend laughed at me and told me you're just mentally weak. So yeah, we broke up pretty soon after that, but that really stung. Honestly sounds like it might have been for the better. I overheard my parents talking about my pants that had holes on it. My mom said to my dad that it was because my legs were too fat. That really hit me hard. Had a heated discussion with a co-worker, whom was openly off her meds and everyone was slightly intimidated by her, and I thought everything was resolved, but apparently in her mind it wasn't. Later that day, she exploded on me in front of everyone. Among other things she said, "No one here likes you. Everyone hates having to work with you." I later asked someone I considered a friend in private if it was true nobody wanted to work with me, and she said yes, some people don't, but wouldn't say who didn't like me. The dormant bullied kid in me started finding all kinds of evidence, such as how everyone had quietly, awkwardly walked away while she was blowing up on me, or the time co-worker A told co-worker B looks like you're with Miss Bottometh tomorrow and co-worker B called off the next day. The co-worker who said that to me is long gone, but the effect still lingers in my mind. Hey, for what it's worth, I don't see why I would mind working with you, and good on you for standing up to her. A rant my mother launched into when I was 15. Basically, you want to be a rock star at this point, she snorted with laughter. Being a famous singer is like being one of the All Blacks. It only happens to a select few and you're not one of them. There was more to it, but I can't remember it all. She ranted for quite a while. This speech my mother gave me pretty much wrecked my life. I gave up piano and drums, and when I finished school I went to university because I thought that was what I was supposed to do. I got into law school. I realized I hated lawyers. I dropped out with a fuck ton of debt. I keep listening to my favorite vocalists and wishing I could be like them. I sing to my husband sometimes. I performed with a Christian rock group for a little while, but my heart wasn't in it because I just keep thinking, who are you kidding? Being a singer is like being an All Black. It won't happen to you. Sometimes I like to fantasize about some talent scout discovering me and offering me a record deal. But then I remind myself that only happens to a tiny select few and it won't happen to me. Now I run a play group for children under 5 which is strongly music themed. We sing educational songs about a different topic each month. This month is body parts. Last month it was animals. It's okay. I like it. But I don't get to really push myself and my singing. The thing is, I know my mum is super jealous of me, even now. But saying she's just jealous still can't seem to lift me out of where I am now. I've been told many awful things during primary school, but the one that stuck with me the most was, "Take off your glasses." I do, being a naive kid. LOL, you're still ugly with them off. A girl once did this to me. I answered, wow. I thought it was the glasses, but no, you're actually that fat. The only moment I felt proud for making a girl cry. I was 13 and at an out-of-town boy-girl track meet, one of the coaches, Julie, walked up to me after my race, which I had won. She put her arm around me and said she had been chatting with some other coaches about me. I thought, OMG, my favorite coach, the young cool one, is about to compliment my race. Nope. She said, you look like you're in heat around all these boys. I was speechless. I had talked to some boys there, yes, but there were girls from our team laying under blankets with their BFs. Anyway, that colored my own perception of myself for quite some time. Overall, frick junior high coaches, at least the ones from mine, they were all still stuck in middle school mentality themselves and horrible women. And if someone ever made a comment like that to my daughter, they would sincerely regret it. What the frick? That is just insane. Really sorry you had to go through this. When I was 15 and struggling with a mental disorder, my dad said he was ashamed that I was his daughter and didn't contact me for a year after that. This wrecked my self-esteem for good. I made myself a skirt one time in high school. I was in absolutely no way a girly girl, so this was me stepping out of my comfort zone. And when I got home, I still felt cute. My mom saw my skirt and said I look trashy. I haven't worn a skirt since then and I never will. I hate skirts now. Maybe my skirt making skills were genuinely bad, but she should have helped me instead of trash talking me. Frick her, wear skirts whenever you want to. She can't make decisions like that for you. Once my gay friend brought me as his date to this party. I didn't know this, but he was eyeing his BFF straight older brother whom I'd never met. Older brother took about one look at me and asked me out. I didn't say yes, didn't hook up with him, didn't even kiss him ever, but gay friend ripped me a new one over the phone about it and said that I was interfering with his friendship with BFF. WTF. The comment that I'm not gonna forget was, "You're a fuck up who destroys everything she touches." Which, okay. I mean, clearly they aren't a friend if they're being a complete and utter C like that. I'm a young woman. I used to work in a male-dominated field. Due to this, I have a very thick-skinned and I absolutely love off-color sketch offensive humor. This was none of the above. One day, over lunch with colleagues, we discussed food and I casually noted I'm not a very good cook. Guy I worked with told me, "Well, you're no wife material then," as though it were a rational statement of fact. Ironically, I had a small crush on this guy. I've never seen someone go from attractive to repulsive so instantly, right before my eyes. If you look like a 10 but act like a 3, you're a 3. Words I'll live by, though I don't know who originally said them, as I saw them in a meme. A couple of years ago I managed to get a summer job in a French hotel where no English was spoken. I'd been studying French for about 7 or 8 years by that point and I was really keen to improve my speaking skills. During the first week I was working in the kids club and doing some coloring with a 5-year-old. All of a sudden she turned to me and said completely innocently, "Your accent is really ugly." So that's the story of how I got burned by a French 5-year-old. This made me laugh. Kids are just so honest. I once had a 5-year-old girl get so excited when she asked what my baby's name was. "His name is Maximum." She said, "That's the name of my dog." LOL. I just said, "Yeah, it's a fantastic name." When I was about 6 or 7, my older brother had told me that our cousin's hamster, that was infamously lost in their basement, crawled up my butt and died. I bawled for an hour or two. Very upsetting. At that age that's traumatic. My mom saw me and chuckled a bit before saying, "How much baking have you been doing in college? You should lay off the cookies, cause you've gained weight." I'd actually been dreading going home because I was afraid she was going to mention it. I've always been obsessed with my weight. Throughout high school, multiple people, included my mom, confronted me about having an eating disorder. I think that people who mention your weight either believe you don't own a scale or a mirror, or that you can't sense when your clothes are fitting differently. If they don't tell you, how else would you know? B. Are nosy, and don't mind hurting you or having a laugh at your expense. After she said that, I couldn't look in the mirror without hating myself even more than I already had. I felt embarrassed every second I was home. I was glad to go back to school because that meant she couldn't look me up and down every day. It's been about 6 months and I still think about it all the time, especially since I've only lost 4 pounds. My friends say that I don't need to lose weight but I still feel too fat. I feel this. My mom has offhandedly said, "You're so pretty, you'll be gorgeous if you lost the weight." I've dropped 35 pounds and have never hated myself more. I get ghosted and unmatched all the time. So even though I see myself in the mirror and see the numbers go down and my clothes fitting better, I hate how I am. In high school, my dance drama teacher told me, on the last day of the school year, "I'm gonna tell you the difference between talent and passion, bud. You have a passion. You live for this stuff. You feel it and love it, but you have no talent. There's no instruments to work with. Do something else with your life, my friend." This was after 2 years of intense training in both acting and dancing classes. Elle was the first to always get to class and the last one to leave. I was 16 at the time. It shattered my dreams. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. I can't love a man who's just going to die on me, and neither will any other woman. My ex-fiancé, when I was battling some mild to moderate health problems, it was a huge kick to my self-esteem, and I really struggled with dating after that. I don't want to die around a selfish butthole. Was bowling with the family. I slipped on my second throw and ended up getting a spare. My brother laughed. Slips and gets a spare. That just about sums up your life right there. We all laughed, but it's true. That just means you're good enough to get a strike most of the time. Neighborhood kids told me they would stop playing with me because their parents say I'm a demon. Messed me up real bad and grew up thinking that way. What's up, Naruto? There's a reason your baby always cries. He feels what's in your heart and will never truly love you. Spoken by my mom's friend after I was suffering from postpartum depression. Me and my boyfriend ended up giving him up for adoption. Jeez, what an insensitive and ignorant statement. I'm so sorry. Not mine but one of my clients. I teach skiing. He has Asperger's. He told me he was at school and one of his classmates was looking sad, so he went and asked him if he was okay. The kid replied, "No, because you're here." It broke my heart to hear this. A week early, he was very stressed because he needed to upload a homework. He already did it but forgot to upload it to the cloud and was really upset because he was failing his teammates, and he said, "Nobody wants to work with me and I really don't want to ruin this." I used to work with teenagers with learning disabilities. Their self-awareness around how impatient or clueless people reacted to them was heartbreaking every time, whether they were matter of fact about it or openly upset. When I was 14, my mom told me that it's my fault that I got raped, and I probably wanted it anyways, and I shouldn't tell on family even if they rape you. Your mom is scum. My mom was berating me once when I was 12 and I told her to stop. She said, "You're cow, so fat, look at yourself. You don't get to talk." Mums are the major chunk of the people who say bad things here. Like, if you could somehow translate crap moms say into physical abuse, we would all be in foster care. It's not that bad, but when I was little I'd come home from school and tell my mom about funny things that happened that day or about whatever drama was going on or whatever the heck kids talk about. Whenever she wants you to stop talking, she'll interrupt several times and go ooh, look like she's trying to stop your speaking for you. Anyway, I don't remember what exactly I said, but I brought it to her attention in some way that she was doing that, and she laughed and said, "Sorry, your stories are just so long." It made me incredibly shy to talk to anyone even into adulthood because I felt like no one wanted to hear what I had to say and I was annoying them. I just turned 30 and only in the last few years have I started to feel comfortable actually having conversations with people. I'm now an elementary school teacher and I fake interest in everything my kids tell me so they'll never feel like their thoughts don't matter. Your mother sucks. You're a good person. Thank you. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.